Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin soul channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the new moon in Gemini that occurred on June 10th, 2021 at 6:43 a.m. if you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States. Please check a time zone converter for your local times. A couple of announcements before we get into the energies. I know several of you emailed me trying to book sessions with me. I had the domain name expire and needed to reconnect it to the site after renewal, and that is done. So the website is up if you'd like to book sessions with me. The early July calendar is available, but I would book them sooner rather than later as the sessions will go quickly. The second thing I'd like to share with you is that Q&A with Kay will return this summer. For those of you who enjoyed the live group coaching sessions with me last year in 2020 when we launched, those will come back and it'll be your opportunity to ask me literally anything in a private group setting, but also if you have questions for my guides that you'd like them to channel about the twin soul journey or about light work on the whole, they'll be available to answer questions about that kind of thing as well. So if you'd like to sign up for Q&A with Kay, the best thing to do is to be subscribed to my private list. The link is below. I offer all things to private listers first, and this program, unlike Star School, will have very limited availability since I want to make sure that I get to have individual and direct interaction with everyone who joins. You want to be one of the first ones to sign up rather than waiting because that program sold out last year and I'm pretty sure it'll sell out again. Let's get into the energies of the new moon. Solar eclipse in Gemini. So below every video, one thing that I have been sharing was the energies for the Gemini Sagittarius eclipse cycle. There are two videos that I did about this eclipse cycle in 2019 when the eclipse cycle opened. And I shared what to expect during this eclipse cycle and why this eclipse cycle would be a bit confusing, a bit one step forward, or two steps forward, one step back. And that's the nature of mutability. If you think about mutable seasons, each mutable season begins in one definitive season and ends in a different definitive season. For example, in the Northern Hemisphere, Pisces season begins winter, ends in spring. Gemini season begins in spring, ends definitively in summer. And those in-between spots is where the magic is. The in-between spots is where one week you may get weather from the season you're headed into. However, the very next week or the following, the weather may revert to the preceding season. And this is what can make mutable eclipse cycles really challenging to understand and challenging to navigate. So if you're looking for tips on how to continue navigating this eclipse cycle, definitely have a look at those videos. I did one for the collective of light workers, and I did one for twin souls about what to expect in this eclipse cycle. But this particular moment with this solar eclipse really marks a turning point in the beginning of what happens next in the collective energies. And the reason why is because this eclipse cycle opened with several lunar eclipses. Lunar eclipses portend endings, completions, closing of cycles. And then we have a series of solar eclipses as we conclude the Sag-Gemini eclipse cycle. The solar eclipses portend new beginnings and the openings of new cycles. And this particular solar eclipse is the second of three in the series. The first one we had back in December. We'll have a final one at the end of the year. And we're rolling into the new beginning energy that the Sag-Gemini eclipse cycle was going to bring to us. It brought to us a series of closings in 2020. And now we're going to have some new beginnings. So this is an exciting moment It's a transitional moment, but the thing to remember is that because it's a mutable cycle, and there are definitely some energies here that speak to what I'm about to tell you, things may not be all the way clear at this moment. You'll feel the new beginning, you'll see it on the horizon, you'll witness parts of its unfolding here in your material reality, but 100% of the information is not yet available. It will become available soon. The reason why has to do with the positioning of the new moon energy here at 19 degrees Gemini with a Mercury retrograde. Now, on its own, Mercury retrograde can obscure some information. It can leave certain details out. Communication can be backed up, withheld, repressed. And it's a moment in time when Mercury goes retrograde where it's an opportunity to revisit, redo, re-understand, reread, all of those kind of things. However, Mercury retrograde's energy is having a conversation with, you guessed it, my best friend, Neptune. That was sarcasm in case you missed it. Of all the planetary energies, I would take just about any energy other than Neptune. Because with all the other energies, you know where you stand. With Neptune, it's anybody's guess. And I'm a girl who lives for clarity. So here's Neptune, the fog, the veil, our connection to the ether, that which is unseen. And its light, it is simply our connection to the unseen realms. But in its shadow, it's straight up deception and lies. And the light, it is our connection to the arts and our capacity to channel beauty and magic into our artistic realms, music, visual arts, entertainment, dancing, acting, performing arts, etc. That's light, but in the shadow, there's performativity for the reason of obscuring things, for making things appear to be not what they are. And so with Neptune having a harsh conversation with Mercury, and harsh conversation meaning they're at a difficult angle to one another as opposed to a harmonious angle, we get more of the shadow energies of Neptune. And with Mercury retrograde, that's just amplified. Mercury is about communication, mind, clarity. Neptune, fog, and in this case, illusion, deception. The best way to work with this energy would be to double down on spiritual practice during this particular solar eclipse and to set some intentions about where you want things to go, even if they're not there yet. Be careful with this solar eclipse about reacting. And there are definitely some energies here that I'm going to talk about towards the end of this video, so stick around, that are going to be provocative and evoke reactive behaviors from people, from within you, from those around you. And this will be especially true for my cardinal signs, those who are Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, Libra. You'll feel a lot of energy moving about you that's like, okay, I need to deal with this. I need to nip this in the bud. I need to handle this. I need to, put an end to that. I need to start this. There are some tricky energies about that reactionary thing going on that all of us are susceptible to, but my cardinal signs in particular. So if you haven't already taken a really severe or harsh action, good, don't. Just pump the brakes. And we'll talk about why that is momentarily. Back to Neptune and Mercury at this solar eclipse. When Mercury goes direct and gets out of realm or out of orb, we would say, from its conversation with Neptune, we're going to have new information surface. We're going to have certain clarity come to the forefront that was not previously there. And you can expect some of this information as we get to the end of June, right around the 20th, 23rd, and move into the beginning of July. You're going to start to see the information that was previously obscured. One thing I want to make sure to mention as I'm looking at this is, I know this is a relationship kind of driven channel. Most of my content is really created for the Twin Soul and Divine Connection community. However, for those of you that know your chart, and if you happen to have a Mercury led sixth house is health and well being, and that would be a Virgo house or a Gemini house. This is a great time to delay taking any major tests that you would need to for your health and well being, because unfortunately, with this sort of energy, there's a really there's a good opportunity that you may come back with false positive, false negative. You might need to redo the testing. You might need to get a second opinion once the retrograde is complete, because all the information and the data points aren't going to be accessible. So I say that to say, trust your life. If you need to have testing done right now because of time sensitive things, then by all means trust that for whatever reason, if things need to be redone later, it was part of your journey and there's a lesson in that for you. However, this is all, what my teacher Nadia Shah taught me. However, if you are at a point coming forward where you can kind of wait to get your testing done, it would be a good idea, because then you'll have better clarity and accuracy around the information once Mercury goes direct and leaves its conversation with Neptune. Spiritual practice. So this is a great time to go within, seek wisdom, especially since Jupiter has arrived here in Pisces. Many of you may have felt this, especially those who have significant water placements in their chart. When Jupiter hit Pisces in May, I think it was around May 12th, there was definitely a shift in the energy. You may have noticed your psychic senses turning up, your intuition turning up, your emotionality turning up, and the inability to ignore information from the spiritual and emotional realms. Those things would have come up full blast. The volume would have turned up on them. You may notice your dreams have become far more amplified for those of you who get a lot of information from the dream world, a lot of clarity from the dream world. This particular solar eclipse was also going to bring in information. So pay attention to your dream state as much as possible. The last thing I'd say that this energy is really useful for is like really channeling some of your artistic ability. You can really leverage this energy to channel forward things from the ethers and put them in the world in terms of your creativity. It's a great creativity transit. But some things you might want to avoid in addition to doing kind of lab testing kind of things, especially if you've got that Gemini or Virgo sixth house in your chart, is important conversations, signing contracts, purchasing electronics, or sending important communications or important memos, launching programs that are new. If you do online education of any sort, this is a good time to launch programs that are old, that you already launched. This is a relaunch. This is a great opportunity for that. So I share all of that to say, again, trust your life. If your intuition was like, now's the time, trust that there's a lesson in that. Again, nods to Nadia Shah for that information. Okay. There's some other themes here that are significant to this particular new moon that I want to make sure to share. I spoke about this in the Lightworker video update for the preceding full moon, and it was the full moon in Sagittarius. Both that full moon and this new moon have very, very strong relationship messages or themes to them. A lot of you said you couldn't see it on the channel. I definitely put it inside of the like when you come to the channel, it's the trailer video, but I also linked it at the end of the Twin Soul video for that lunation. I think you couldn't see it because I had made some mention of the pandemic and the events of like 2020. And because I've seen that people in this profession, when they make those references, some of those videos do get suppressed by the algorithm. So if you weren't able to find it, those are the ways you'll be able to see it. I will also link that video below this one so that if you need to rewatch it, you can. I mentioned in that video and in this video that there's significant relational energies going on at these two lunations. And so, even though this is the Lightworker video update, it bears mentioning that just opposite this new moon, we do have the partnership asteroid in strong conversation with the new moon and with the south node. I talked about this in Star School. So, my Star Schoolers, you may remember this, especially if you did 201, that the South Node can act a bit like a portal when you have a retrograde of a significant planetary energy over the South Node. And so, because the partnership asteroid is coming to roll over the south node and then roll back forward, she's already made one pass. She's about to make her second pass. And we have Mercury retrograde, which is about revisiting conversations opposing the partnership asteroid. Expect that you will be hearing from some people who have been a part of your life in the past in a partnership capacity. This could be old business partners, this could be old lovers, this could be old boyfriends, girlfriends, exes, all of that. This isn't necessarily old friends, although it could be, especially if there was any Neptune fogginess about where you stood with those people. Expect those people to be popping up right before and in the weeks following this particular new moon, because this energy can be felt. Eclipse energy can be felt for a good 90 days at minimum post the eclipse itself. Whatever has or hasn't happened here, expect that this energy is going to carry forward a bit for the next 90 days or so. Now, that's not necessarily the foggy energy. That's Mercury and Neptune. We're going to get out of that in the next few weeks. However, the partnership pieces of this, where there's people kind of revisiting from the past to kind of see, kick the tires a little bit or create closure or see if the door is still open or to reveal what hasn't been previously revealed, especially with Mercury in the mix. These are conversations that need to happen that maybe haven't, revisiting certain things that were said or things that were not said that needed to get said. This is a period of time where you can expect those conversations to pop up. The only thing that I would say with this, especially because Neptune is in conversation with the partnership asteroid, she was at the last lunation in conversation with Neptune as well. And because Neptune is in conversation with the new moon, this is begging for all of us to get into Virgoan energy, which is all about discernment. Discernment about what we say, discernment about what we are hearing, asking for details and getting more detailed information. You may not get all of the information until Mercury goes direct in a few weeks here, but digging into the Virgoan piece of the mutable energies here is what's going to really allow us to get quality information to make quality decisions. There's a real propensity with Neptune, Mercury, and partnership asteroid all speaking together in this way. There could be a propensity to kind of sail off into the sunset on a dream, only to have that dream really shattered as Mercury then gets into Cancer, gets into Leo, and then arrives in Virgo later this year. Because Virgo will reveal the details that were missed if they were not asked for as we get into Cancer season and Leo season. Virgo's like, oh, here's what you missed. Oh, here's that thing that didn't get said. Here's why we need to take it a bit slow. And so there's a lot of magic energy in the air around the world of partnerships and connections, especially if you've been wanting anyone to resurface from the past, or you've been really aching to reconnect with someone from the past or reopen the door. If you need to make an apology, make an amends, this is a great time to approach from that place, from the place of, hey, I'm not really comfortable with the way we left things. There's some things that I left unsaid, or I've been doing a lot of growth and I've learned a lot about myself and I've seen the ways that I've shown up with you. I'm not okay with how I left things. I'd love to apologize and just explain. Would you be open to letting me, having a conversation with me about that? Those kind of conversations would go great right now because they're grounded in a lot of spiritual truth. They're anchored in a lot of personal accountability, and they're a revisitation of things that maybe have been an open wound or things that where there was missing information or missing answers. You can revisit those and insert those now and trust that the other person will probably really hear them with a lot of compassion, with Neptune and Pisces here. But if there's a restart to a relationship and those kinds of things, if there's an open wound or like an open door and things just haven't been fully closed out from the last cycle, believe it, by the time we get to Virgo season, those things are going to get in your face for you to deal with, for you to have a conversation about. They're going to be a little like undoing of things moving forward is going to be written in to this beginning if those kinds of conversations haven't been had, if they need to be had. Okay. Trying to kind of skip over those conversations and just roll into let's just have a new beginning. I actually had a client share this with me last week. She was saying, I reached out, I just wanted to connect. And then she revealed, as well, how did it go? Were you well received? And she was like, no, my person ignored me. They didn't respond at all. And we carried on with the conversation. And she revealed how she left things, and that she knew she owed this person an apology and a thorough explanation. I said, okay, well, look, if you're trying to gloss over that like it never happened, expect the door to remain shut. But if you want to open the door, this is a great time to, come hat in hand, have some humility about the way things got left, swallow your pride, or at least set it to the side and just connect soul to soul. Here's where things are at. I'd love to just let you into my world because I still want to be connected. And that's the advice if you are the person who, if the ball is in your court to reopen things as opposed to the other person's court, that would help. Now, if you're on the receiving end of something like that, I would say but you haven't gotten the clarity, the information, but the person has come back trying to connect. I would just wait until Mercury goes direct. Wait until Mercury gets out of orb from Neptune. Like I said, we're looking at end of June, beginning of July, and then let's go into, okay, so I see you want to reconnect. I'm certainly open to that. But where we left things, left me with X, Y, or Z feeling. I'd really love to put those feelings to bed because I would like you in my life, or I'd like to put those feelings to bed because I think it would be healthy for me to move forward. Would you be open to having a conversation about the way things got left between us so that I can, get closure on that and be present in the now? And then that way you can kind of open the conversation, see where things are at once Mercury gets into Cancer and gets out of Gemini. Once we get into Cancer, we have a much better chance of getting some of the information that we would need in order to lay the past to rest and take advantage of this beautiful solar eclipse new energy. It's a new cycle, potentially with someone from the past. This new moon in Gemini gives us that opportunity. Okay. This new moon is also sextiling to Chiron here, which does mean that old wounds or present, if this person resurfaces or a partnership resurfaces or you're revisiting material from the past in a partnership capacity, again, we have partnership asteroid and strong conversation with this moon sun conjunction. The Chiron energy speaking to the new moon is going to bring up all of the Chiron wounds that things got left with as you're revisiting this material. So Chiron to Aries wounds are wounds about our ambition. They're wounds about our enoughness. They're wounds about, you know, our assertion, our leadership potential, but they're also wounds about an Aries shadow energy, which is things like our aggression, our impatience. Those kind of wounds can all be very present as this revisitation of partnership energies from the past comes up. And the other reason why this is such a heavy partnership focused lunation has to do with the conversation of Venus and Jupiter. When Venus and Jupiter come together in harmonious conversation, which they did just prior to the new moon, there's a lot of love energy in the air. It's a very harmonious transit in the collective for coming home to love, feeling very loving, the emotions of love and bondedness coming to the surface. Venus in Cancer really draws some of that rich emotional energy and material to the surface, and Jupiter just expands it by speaking to her in trine, which is a harmonious aspect, which is fantastic. There are many of you also at this time who are going to start to hear about opportunities in the world of work and money, especially if your second house of earned income or your 10th house of career are water houses. For those of you who know your chart, and for my star schoolers who know their chart, check it out if you've got that second house or 10th house that is a water-based house. You're going to start to see a bit more flow in terms of opportunity there as well, which is fantastic. If you've been waiting on that, it's part of the great reopening as we move further and further away from 2021. Hallelujah. Kick rocks 2021, kick rocks. Let's see what else. We spoke about the Chiron energy, more relationship based than anything. Chiron having this conversation with the new moon doesn't necessarily impact the Jupiter Venus thing, but it's certainly present if you've got relational stuff going on, less so if you've got money or work stuff going on. Let me see what else. New moon trine Saturn. Okay. And so this is one of the things that I actually like about it, about this new moon, even though Neptune's in the mix, giving us the business around unclear information and communication. Saturn's in the mix saying, okay, so the information might not be there, but the integrity is. The well-meaning intention, the thoughtfulness around, is this aligned? Is it not aligned? You know, the willingness to come from a place of real wholeness or to not come at all. And so this is one thing I do want to say for those of you who are like, well, no one's reached out to me from my past and I have all kinds of open wounds. It'd be great if I could create some closure. And it's not on you. Maybe they shut the door and you're just kind of waiting. The nice thing about this lunation is with Saturn in the mix, having conversation with the new moon and soon to be Mercury, there is a bit of integrity around this. So if people are not resurfacing, it's because they can't do it at this time with a level of true integrity. They can't do it given where they're at in their life. They can't offer the clear communication, or they can't provide, congruence with it. They'd have one foot in, one foot out, or something like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of giving examples, but the Saturn influence is a really grounding influence that also lets us know that new things begun at this new moon in Gemini actually have the potential to last. They have the potential to stick. It doesn't mean there won't be challenges with this Mercury Neptune piece, but they do have the potential to go the distance. And I love seeing that. New health regimens, new If you get a new job right around this time, if you move right around this time, but you're uncertain whether or not you can maintain, the rent or the mortgage in the new place, or you start a new project, new relationships, new work things, all of these new things that might occur at this period of time. It may be a bit challenging. There may be a bit of revisitation, a bit of start stop. Again, there's that mutable energy. But the Saturnian piece of this means that it will go the distance. And I love to see that. Love, love, love to see that. So beautiful energy, that there's a lot of potential here for creating something new that is exactly what you want, in a way that gives you a real groundedness and an internal sense of commitment to seeing it through. We also have a harmonious conversation here to our creation goddess. A lot of people don't read Haumea, but I do, since she comes with my software, because she's also in the mix, more loosely so, but she's there nonetheless. Again, new moon, new creation goddess. She's creating new things. And then Saturn gives us this opportunity for things to have a breakthrough. And this is especially true because we've got the Uranus Saturn square this year, and Uranus is trying to break down all the ways in which Saturn may have been holding things back. Because Saturn can create a lot of boundaries, a lot of structure in the light, but in the shadow, it can create a lot of repression and just straight up cutting off, moving things into separation rather than coming together. The Uranian energy is facilitating a quantum leap forward in the way that Saturn has previously operated in your life and in your chart at this time. Thank goodness we get to work in a new way around our boundaries. We get to work in a new way around our standards. We get to work in a new way when it comes to our discipline and focus and effort. And Uranus is really facilitating that for us. There's this energy, there's very much this energy, especially with this new moon in Gemini. There's this meme that went around, years ago, when somebody like changes their phone number and then they lose all the phone numbers that they previously had. And they pick up the phone, they're like, new phone, who this? I don't know who this is. New me, who this? And so this is the energy here. This is very new you, new energy, new beginning energy in so many areas of life. And it's really, really beautiful. It's very opportunistic. So there's anything you've been trying to get off the ground, you can leverage these next 90 days to really facilitate and grab this new moon energy and channel it into your life with this particular solar eclipse. Now, if you want to have a look at how to utilize this in your particular chart, you can always head over to kmoonastro.com and you can book a reading there. Again, like I said, booking into mid-July, and I would love to be able to read for you. Let's go ahead and pause here and see if YouTube wants to show a brief commercial. Fantastic. I want to pause and just say thank you for those of you who watch the commercials. It always helps the channel grow and helps me continue to provide this content for you. Let's get into some of the other energies of this lunation. We have Venus in conversation with Chiron via a square. So there can be a little bit of like poor me energy here, a little bit of like all the wounds that you've sustained in the world of love and in your emotional realm can kind of really be triggered by the current events at this time. Some of those wounds are coming up so that you can find the way to healing them, not wallow in them. So if you're finding yourself wallowing, get thee to thy healer. It's a really good time to enroll in therapy or to enroll in some level of support. I love Lee and Sherry. If wounding is coming up, I really love their work. Lee and Sherry Twin Flames. I'll link them below this video. because they really do a great job of helping and facilitating your access to emotions that may be blocked or tamped down or need healing or need like a balm or a salve. If you're trying to find the way to heal yourself, they're phenomenal. But yeah, therapy, coaching, anything of the nature that's going to help you in the world of taking your woundedness and your emotions, in particular about your isness, like who you are, especially if you have a story around not being enough, in order to have love or in order to have money, because Venus represents both of those things. This is a great time to get support around that so that you can turn over a new leaf, begin this new era with a new energy. Okay. We also have Venus sextiling Uranus, which I really like to see, because with Venus having that kind of conversation with Uranus, again, there's this opportunity to really reset yourself, your baseline emotional pattern. If you know how to do any type of subconscious mind reprogramming or any type of energetic or emotional reprogramming, this is a phenomenal time to get it done, because what's happening with Uranus and Venus having this conversation, if you're doing self work with this energy, is it gives you the opportunity to come out of depression kind of like almost overnight. If you're doing the work, a little bit of work around it, it gives you the opportunity for a bit of a quantum leap forward in your emotional realm. And again, this is what lends itself to an opportunity for vulnerability, especially as we get into Mercury direct. There's an opportunity for revealing your heart, putting your cards on the table. Also, especially because Jupiter is having that harmonious conversation with Venus, and this is such a partnership oriented new moon. It's a great time for sharing your truth with another person as vulnerably as possible. And then just opening the door and seeing what happens after that. So, beautiful energy, beautiful time, but you don't have to use it in a partnership kind of way. You can really use it in a self reprogramming kind of way to break through certain barriers that you may have had in the arena of love and money. Now there's another interesting energy here as well. Oh, I just want to say this gets doubly echoed, the relationship component to it, because Chiron is in a harmonious placement to our relationship asteroid, Juno. And so, healing in the arena of relationships, even if you don't have someone that you're dealing with at this time, this is a great opportunity to clean out the gunk from your past woundings in relationship so that you can come forward and have a new caliber of relationship, a new type of relationship, and not repeat the same old wounds, the same old patterns in relationship. This is a great time to take that Uranian quantum leap by dealing with the wounds head on. There's so much harmonious energy to get you out of old patterns when it comes to relating, that, whatever comes forward after this, it will by design, if you're doing the work, it will by design be better than anything you've had before. So I'll also link Thais Gibson. I really like her work. I'm just writing that down, Thais Gibson's work at the Personal Development School. I love her work on subconscious mind reprogramming. I also really love her work on helping people facilitate doing relationships in a new way by giving them new tools. So I'll link her below so that you can find her way to the Personal Development School and her channel. Okay, moving forward. Chiron is squaring Venus. Okay, we talked about that. We talked about this. Okay, and then the last energy I want to talk about. Let me clear up these marks because there's some interesting energy going on here. Yeah, the difficult energy. So I want to talk about this. There's something going on around motherhood, there's something going on around resentment, and there's something going on around reactivity. So I want to address this before we close out. I'm also going to just pause here to see if YouTube wants to show a brief commercial. Thanks for watching. Okay. Welcome back. Let's have a look at this. So, the reason I kind of said that there's a reactionary energy here is this: it's Pluto opposite Mars, Mars and Pluto in opposition to one another. I don't love these two when they speak in opposition. It brings out the worst in both of them. Pluto loves to just destroy at its worst, just end things, just shut it down. Mars at its worst is very warlike. That's where we get the reputation of Mars as the god of war, right? And so Mars and Pluto in harsh conversation, that 180-degree conversation, there is a real potential with this lunation to take harsh action, to be brash, to take action, because Mars takes action, to put an end to things. If you're not hearing or seeing exactly what you want to hear and see, or it's not feeling exactly the way you want it to feel, Mars opposite Pluto, especially because it's sitting in cardinal signs, Cancer, and Cancer is not Mars's favorite sign. Mars does very poorly, gives a lot of its shadow energy in Cancer. And we have Pluto here inside Capricorn, both cardinal signs. My Caps and Cancers, my Aries and Libras, you guys are going to feel this energy the most, but so will everyone in the collective, where there's this brashness to wanting to, no, shut it down. It's not what I want. Get it out of my life. So there's this brash energy here. And the reason I caution in terms of that brashness is specifically because with the Mercury Neptune conversation that I laid out at the beginning of the video, we just don't have all the information. You may cut something off before you've had the opportunity to get all the information with this particular kind of planetary transiting energy. And so it's a good idea to just sit back, eat your chips, relax, or your veggie sticks if you're a veggie sticks kind of person. Just sit back and watch this play out. Let this unfold. Allow things to just come to settle, because this new moon solar eclipse in Gemini is kicking up a lot of new energy. And so this is a great time to just, especially in the arena of relationship, just sit back, just watch what people are going to do. You don't need to do anything. Just let them do what they're going to do. You can get to the point of getting the clarity and the information you need as early as July. But while this energy is in place, it is a good idea to just ease back. Especially if you're uncomfortable, in pain, etc. You're in a place where you're like, ooh, somebody's stepping all over my boundaries and I just need to put them in check. If you're feeling any of that kind of energy, I'm not saying don't keep your boundaries, but there's likely something going on that you can't see yet. And once you know what there is that's missing, you may have a very different reaction than cutting things off. You may choose a very different path than cutting things off. So it's really important to really self-manage around the energies here that are exacerbated by none other. You guys have heard me talk about her, our friend Eris, God love her. She just reminds us all of the when and how we feel very disenfranchised. Somebody has removed our seat from the table. We are somehow, some way being, dishonored or excluded. The Eris energy here is hyping up Mars, talking to Pluto a little bit like, yeah, cut that MFR off. Yeah, yeah. Like shut that whole thing down. Like, yeah, yeah. And like the subconscious kind of loops that the brain can be doing with the Neptune Mercury energy can go into a very dark place very quickly. There could be a lot of catastrophizing going on with this energy that will not be useful once Mercury goes direct. There's a bit of an energy here of cutting off our nose to spite our face, just to get the upper hand, just to feel like we've got some power back. But if you can remember the spiritual wisdom and the fact that we are never at a loss for power, we always have our own power and we can exercise it however we choose. And that much of what we might be witnessing is other people's woundedness and reactivity coming to the surface. And if we can just get to the point of having some clear conversations about it, we might be able to bring things into balance in the weeks to come. But this is a great time to just take your foot off the gas, slow your roll, just let some stuff play out and just see what the people around you are going to do. Okay. That Pluto opposite Mars energy also lends itself to a ton of motivation. And that's a great way to utilize this as well. If you've been low energy or feeling like you've had a project, you've wanted to get off the ground, and you want to make inroads or make strides with it, you can leverage this, harness the amplitude and personal power that's about to go down, or that is going down with Mars opposite Pluto. There's this like spike in personal power, and you can use this. I mean, I used it to go through some mail that I refused for way too long to adult around. I was like, oh, this is getting done. I can't stand looking at this pile. So I went through it and got a lot of things done with it. But yeah, like cleaning your house, or if you've got like a garage project or some other project that you've really wanted to get off the ground. Again, Mars opposite Pluto, new moon solar eclipse, great opportunity to just kick things into high gear and channel this, these wild horses into some real get it doneness. So definitely utilize this energy because, like I said, anything really begun at this new moon in Gemini has the opportunity to stick, especially new habits. So give yourself permission to step into those. Okay. Let's see. What else? What else? What else? Yes. Okay. Mars is also talking to Lilith. Not just Eris. He's in a sextile with Lilith. So again, there's this theme here around like kind of it's like mic grabbing or like power snatching, and it can be a bit undue and with a high potential for regretting it once better information gets revealed as Mercury goes direct. So just be very mindful of that. And I love Mars speaking in harmony to Neptune because that provides a lot of spiritual motivation and a lot of motivation to kind of dig deeper spiritually and really lean into, especially if you're in the world of the arts, performing arts, entertainment arts, musical arts, visual arts. If you're in the world of the arts, this is a beautiful time to really like get your work out there, to start the process of like creating that mixtape, doing those auditions, finishing up, that painting or art series so that you can find your way into, a gallery or online display, etc. This Mars sextile Neptune, or sorry, trine Neptune situation lends itself to a lot of motivation to kind of get that spiritual practice in order, see some deeper spiritual truths in the moment, really ground and anchor those into our emotional reality as well. Again, Mars in Cancer is pretty uncomfortable, but we're coming to the close of that. And there's just a lot of motivating energy here to kind of catalyze ourselves into shaking off that 2020 energy. Thank goodness. Okay. that's our read. If you'd like for me to look at this in your own chart, you can check me out at kmoonastro.com. I have personal and twin soul readings available. You can go ahead and jump into getting a reading. And for those of you who have started a business already, and you want me to look at your business's chart alongside your personal chart, because you may have some projects that you want to launch with this solar eclipse energy through the end of the year, what you can do is sign up for a one of the relationship readings, the twin soul readings, and put the date your business got started inside of the request for information for the other person. So it'd be like you put in your birthday, your birth time, your birth location, then you put in the business's birthday, the business's birth time, and the business's birth location. And then I can really look and see what cycles the business itself is in and where it fits in to things that you can do if you want to get, or like from a timing perspective, when you can get certain projects off the ground. That would be the best way to do that. I'd be honored to look at your business for you. All right, beloveds, it's been a pleasure and an honor, and you guys take great care. Bye for now.